Well, I think this is a good. I think this is a good transition point for the next story, which kind of goes.
Which kind of, I think these two stories flow naturally together.
Mm-hmm.
And just in case you were, don't think that the Democrats hate your freedoms, well, all you had to do is go to the Bernie Sanders campaign.
Right.
And
why don't you take it away?
So all I had to do is go to the Bernie Sanders campaign, and there was a recent Project Veritas expose, where they exposed this. I think it was like one of his field staffers, and he damn sure, like, if you have this guy on there, this is probably Bernie's inner monologue as well, and it's probably felt by many of the people in the Bernie campaign. But essentially, it was saying how if he does not win the Democratic nomination, that they're gonna burn shit to the ground, essentially, and that if he doesn't win the presidency, it's like, you're damn right, there's gonna be hell to pay, and pretty much
blood in the street, revolution, all that, all the usual commie bullshit,
all the Leninist, insanity.
Right. But to be fair, this guy isn't officially, a part of Bernie's campaign. He's just someone who's, a supporter, a crazy person, a communist. But he, it's not like he has regular meetings with Bernie Sanders, and that they talk about what they're going to do once the revolution happens.
But this is, I think, essentially, like, yes, obviously, like, Bernie Sanders can't come out and say crap like this, but this is the stuff that he advocates. All the other stuff that he's wanting, and all the stuff that he's been talking about, all the praising of the Fidel Castro and Che Guevara back in the Cuban revolution, his celebrating his honeymoon in the Soviet Union, and praising all the stuff going on in Venezuela. Like, he is a communist. This is the stuff that he like I said, he's not outright calling for revolution, all this stuff, but this is all he's wanted his entire life. So the fact that, like, sure, this crazed lunatic is saying this, but the fact that it's these Bernie bros, and that's what they want, and this is what he wants too. And I think it's going to be, it's just nuts. And you see this too also from another one of his acolytes, AOC, who she's spouting the same thing that Bernie is, and unfortunately she's much younger, so whenever she eventually, she's going to keep growing in politics, unfortunately, and this is it. We're going to have Bernie 2.0 and AOC, so this is unfortunately, if we don't stand up and fight, kind of like with the Second Amendment stuff, these same people communism is going to take over the United States from within. It's we talk about that. Ronald Reagan helped end the Cold War, but honestly, I think we're losing the Cold War. It's this
is a new Cold War. After the kind of institutional leadership, Russia, and after that fell, it was just it was pushed underground because they no longer had kind of like there's no longer like open kind of support, so they had to go underground, and they had to wait for the conditions to be right. to manifest themselves again. And I think now is I think within the last like 10 years or so was the right time to resurface.
Yeah. And these guys have been they've infiltrated the government, they've infiltrated the schools, they've infiltrated the media,
Mm-hmm.
and it is well, it's we always kind of like laugh and look at Joseph McCarthy as this awful person. It's like he was right. He
Yeah,
was right back in the 50s and 60s, and the fact that not only was he right, but he didn't go far enough. And
yeah. I mean, he routed more metaphorically. He routed the rats, but he didn't kill them all. But he didn't get them all.
yeah,
And so he
and
definitely didn't go enough. He
they
didn't go far
vilified
enough
him,
with his pursuit.
and it just the tentacles, even when McCarthy was in on this, he didn't start the whole thing, but like that whole committee, but like he saw it's like, oh shit, yeah, this is a really big problem.
Mm-hmm.
And but even by then the tentacles were so deep, uh it would have taken a lot of work to get rid of them.
Mm-hmm.
And today it's like, fuck, man, he was right.
Yeah.
And now these people, they why do you think that all these guys from the left, they're so against um charter schools and people choosing and not going to public schools,
Yeah. Or even
or
homeschooling. There's a huge
yeah,
this almost demonization of anyone who homeschools their kids. Like what? So so you're saying that's wrong for me as a parent to have a say in what my child learns? Me, the
well,
parent?
remember, it goes back to last week. There are social betters, they know better than us. And if
I keep forgetting that part.
it's not, like I said, it's not always a money corruption, but
Mm-hmm.
it's like it's because like Obama, it's like we're better than you, and we will let us make the decisions. We're better than you, so we'll make your life better because you can't
Mm-hmm.
do it. You're too dumb. You're too radicalized, and you should probably be thrown in a gulag or a prison camp and and
Well,
be
yeah, I mean
told
that's what
how.
that guy was saying that should happen. Despite having firsthand accounts of gulags, what's his face, the Russian author,
Solzhenitsyn,
Solzhenitsyn, yeah, Gulag Archipelago.
read it,
That's
guys.
a first-hand account of someone who's verifiably in the gulags
Yeah,
and the shit that he went through and he saw, and it's like no, those are and then it's like no, those are good things. And he was like saying, and then that Bernie staffer was saying like, oh, like it's like that all that Gulag Archipelago was just CIA bullshit. He's
yeah,
like yeah, it's like it wasn't that bad. Like they had conjugal visits. It's like it was practically a resort. It's like
yeah,
um it's like tell that to Yuri Bezmenov, you fucking psycho.
yeah. Well,
For those of you who don't
it's
know, Yuri Bezmenov was a former KGB officer in charge of um, counterintelligence, I think it was.
yeah, I believe so.
Yeah. And he defected to the United States, and he was like he was going on TV and saying like all the tactics that we're seeing now of like the demonization and like and these mobs is all on on orders of the former like Soviet government.
Yeah, it's nuts. And it's like it's like, wake up.
Yeah. Wake up before you find yourself sharing a bedroom with 5 other families.
Right. Well, and the reason I bring this up is yeah, the guy, offhand, if you're just like looking at it face value, it's like, oh, he's fucking crazy, like, but the fact that, like, he's someone that, sure, he is crazy, yeah, but the fact that we have a presidential candidate that believes this shit, and I think would try to enact this, if he really, because Bernie is, if anything, he, he's has a lot of horrible ideas, but I don't think he's lying about his communist tendencies. He's always been a radical believer in it. Even back in when he was a useless,
Couch surfer.
politician back then. Yeah, he still is. He's just a very well paid couch surfer.
Don't forget, y'all. For like up until he was about 30, you Bernie Sanders was a couch surfer. Never held a real job.
He's been a useless person his entire life.
Mm-hmm.
And the funny thing is, like, I was, because I was looking at, like, Karl Marx's life. He was a useless couch surfer too. He was terrible.
Yeah.
All these guys, and it's funny. The only people that are really advocating for communism or like for Bernie Sanders, a lot of them are useless couch surfers. Like, I'm not saying everybody, but there's a strong majority of people that are supporting Bernie Sanders don't do dog shit.
Exactly. That's why That's why all the all the people advocating for communism and socialism are stupid kids. Who are getting stupid degrees. Like in underwater basket weaving.
Oh,
They don't tell them. You don't give them like the full story. They don't know how evil an ideology socialism and communism is. That's why you constantly get the refrains like, "Oh well, communism wasn't done right." It's like, but we're definitely gonna perfect the secret sauce this time.